Do you know about the man who completely changed the hip-hop game over the last 4 decades? It's easy to forget that beside every artist, there's always a producer who's equally responsible for it. Today, we'll be taking a look at Rick Rubin, the man who changed the face of music forever by exploring some of his most influential projects. Stick around, because it's going to be one hell of a ride. With his long signature beard and a long list of hits behind him, Rubin has established himself as one of the industry's most sought-after producers. His versatility has allowed him to work on projects by the likes of Kanye West, Adele, Jay-Z, and even Lady Gaga. He's basically the jack of all trades for music. So, how'd he get into it anyway? Even before he started making music, he would visit the local hip-hop bars as a college student in New York. But there was nothing to listen to outside these clubs. There were no hip-hop albums, only singles that didn't reflect what the hip-hop scene was actually like. Considering the records were just someone rapping over R&B beats, it's no surprise that they couldn't catch the essence of hip-hop. So Rick, who has been called the godfather of rap, decided to just make a record himself, and in 1983, he released It's Yours. The record was an instant success in the club scene. Soon, Rubin was starting a label named Def Jam, based in his dormitory at New York University. He was feeling the hole in the market because, at that time, no major label thought anything big would come from hip-hop. That thought didn't age well, did it? Rubin would soon be making bags. He'd also go on to produce some of the most influential hip-hop records in the history of the genre, some of them vital for the genre's success. The first in a long line to come was Radio. When 16-year-old James Smith heard It's Yours, he instantly fell in love. At the back of the record, he noticed the producer's phone number. James would keep calling Rick until he finally listened to the demo tape he sent, titled Ladies Love Cool J. Rubin loved it so much that he asked James to send in a few verses. Soon, they were working on a new album together. James would take up the name LL Cool J, and the two put out his first single, I Need a Beat, featuring LL spitting verses over Rubin's clattering rock instrumentals. This single sold 120,000 copies and put Def Jam on everyone's radar, but that was just the beginning. Rubin perfectly combined elements of rock music that were so popular at the time with LL's rapping. His production was so minimalistic, he even wrote Reduced by Rick Rubin at the back of the record. But it worked amazingly. Fans of rock were introduced to the newly emerging genre because of their familiarity with the sound, and the album would end up selling over 500,000 copies in the first 5 months after its release in November of 1985. LL became the hottest MC on the scene, and suddenly Rubin was one of the most demanded producers in the industry. His second album would go on to see just as much success as the first. With Raising Hell, Rubin brought back his signature rap-rock hybrid in an all-killer, no-filler hip-hop album. Released in May 1986, Raising Hell was the first rap album to reach triple platinum, and it marked the beginning of the use of samples in modern music. It was also the album that would be the beginning of hip-hop's love affair with global fashion. Long before Kanye released his Yeezy line, Run DMC would become the first non-athletes to land an Adidas sponsorship. The increased use of samples was completely Rubin's handiwork, who suggested using Walk This Way, a top 10 hit by Aerosmith, into an entirely new song. It was also Rubin's idea to invite Steven Tyler, who was the lead singer of Aerosmith, and Joe Perry, who was its lead guitarist, to join Run DMC on the new recording. The song would go on to revive Aerosmith's career and inspire even more rock rap acts like Limp Bizkit. Ironically, Rubin had set out to bring hip-hop back to the sound of the club scene. Instead, it landed in the bedroom of suburban teens and gained massive mainstream appeal. Not that he was complaining. The only thing holding back the record was the segregation of music that still existed back then. But then came the Beastie Boys. In every single way, the Beastie Boys built on what Run DMC had accomplished with License to Ill. The album, released in November 1986, was co-written by Run DMC. It even contains a song from Raising Hell that never made it onto the final cut. And with Rubin steering the helm of production, it brought together rap, punk, and heavy metal flawlessly. Rubin had improved his craft by then, bringing together instrumentals from legendary rock acts like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, with the hip-hop staples of scratches and cuts. And the album had even greater mainstream appeal than Raising Hell, largely because the Beastie Boys were white. The album was on the radio everywhere and became the first rap album to hit #1 on the Billboard charts. Rubin had added an unmistakably unique flavor to the hip-hop genre, and he would continue his contributions to it long into the future, even working with the likes of the Jigga Man. Jay-Z had been on the top of the rap game for years when he and Rubin then decided to join forces on his retirement album. Rubin only produced one track on the Black Album, but it was one of his most successful to date. The making of 99 Problems was as strange as anything Rubin does. At one point, he even had a bison, of all things, in the studio. The two started a cappella, taking inspiration from Chris Rock's famous song of the same name and using no less than 6 other samples, something that at this point had long since become a signature of Rubin. For the production, Rubin went back to his Def Jam roots, bringing in the heavy rock instrumentals he's known for, and the lyrics reflect his connection to the black and hip-hop culture as a whole. Jay-Z raps for 4 minutes about his own experiences, taking shot after shot at the police and the system. He'd go on to perform the song in the White House for President Obama, giving us the iconic line, "I got 99 problems, but a Bush ain't one." Call that an L for Bush? The track is raw and unfiltered, and there's no surprise why it's called the story of America. There's also no better track to fully appreciate just how skilled Rubin is at his craft. Hov may have 99 problems, but one thing we know for sure is that a producer sure ain't one of them. Now there's one more contemporary hip-hop act, and someone who has become equally as legendary as Rubin himself, who crafted an album with him. For his 2013 album Yeezus, Kanye was having trouble meeting the deadline for his album release. He had tons of ideas, but was running out of time to bring them all together in a cohesive way. He needed to refine all of these ideas. The solution? Go to the reducer, of course. When Ye approached Rubin, the rough cut of the album was over 3 hours long. Ain't nobody got time for that. So Rubin got out his shears and cut off every element that wasn't crucial to the album, and what was left was a 40-minute study of aggravation and pure angst. One of the best examples of this is in the closing track, Bound To. Where Ye had envisioned a straightforward R&B track, Rubin thought of Suicide, a 70s punk group from New York. He pulled everything out except the sample and brought Charlie Wilson's vocals soaring into the chorus. The record was regarded as a minimalist masterpiece and not only debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts, but would also go on to become one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the year. Rubin's philosophy has always been to sit back and let the artist shine through. As everyone describes him, he's a reducer, not a producer. He listens and lets the music flow and allows every artist to unlock their full potential. And to think all of this began because an NYU law student decided to drop out of his degree to pursue music. He made out like a bandit with that dream. And on that note, we'll end this video. What did you think about Rubin's massive contributions to the hip-hop genre? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.